Welcome back, everyone. It is time for the Jack Skill and Gear Guide. Now, I know I've kind of done this before when I did the Best Design Character video, and some of this is going to be repeat, but looking back at that video, I did not go nearly as in-depth as I have been with these other characters. So I decided to do him anyways, and I was going to save him to last since I did that one, but I need a little bit more time to figure out Claptrap. So Claptrap will be the last, Gage will be after Jack. So all that out of the way, let's dig into this. So first off is Expendable Assets, the action skill. You press your action skill button to summon 2 Digijacks to fight and die for you. Whoops, got off of it. Digijacks lose health constantly until they die. When a Digijack dies, a new one will be spawned near you. Press and hold your action skill button to end expandable assets early and gain a reduction to your cooldown. So you pop them out here and boom, you get 2 Digijacks. Now, if you move too far away from them, they will automatically die and respawn near you. So they kind of move with you. Not quite like Wilhelm Surveyors, but they will come back and spawn for you. The good news of that is you can purposely kill them, but if not, you see they permanently die there, and you can just press your action skill button to get rid of them and get reduced cooldown, which is very cool to be able to respawn them when you need it and move them around. So on its own, it's a pretty interesting action skill. Where it becomes really awesome is its synergy with the skills, and this is why I said I think Jack is the best designed character, because the way his pets affect him and he affects his pets is way beyond what we've seen with any other character. Where it's not like a pet where you just put it out and forget about it. You're really interacting with them a lot more and thinking a lot more on how you build them. So I guess let's get into why. I'm going to start with the middle tree with him because this is his glue. And to me, this is the single best skill tree Gearbox has ever designed. His other 2 have flaws in them, but this one is about as perfect as you can get. Integrity, to start with, here you gain increased gun damage against enemies who are below 40% health. If you have not damaged the enemy previously and the enemy is under 40% health, you deal even more gun damage. So this is a 40% damage bonus with a 4 multiplier, and I'm going to do a separate video just to kind of show how this works because it's really complicated, but it's a massive damage boost. Even in solo where you don't really get the bonus multiplier too often, it's still a really good damage boost, and this is one of the strongest tier 1 damage boosts you'll see pretty much in any of the games. Like, this is a really big deal. Usually, I mean, there are tier 1 damage boosts that are like 15% all the time on, but this thing has way more potential than that. The next one is maybe the other biggest tier 1 damage boost we've seen on any character. Whenever a Digijack dies, you gain a stack of Collaborate. You and your Digijacks deal increased damage for every stack of Collaborate you have. All stacks of Collaborate are lost when expandable assets end. So every time a Jack dies, you get a stack, you get up to 10 stacks, and it's 5% damage per stack for you and the Digijacks. So that's up to 10 stacks, or 50% damage. And as you saw earlier, you can just run around and kill your Jacks, and they just get stronger by that. Which is pretty freaking crazy, and up to 50% for you and your pets on tier 1, and you have 2 pets both doing damage. That's a big fucking deal. And there are a lot of skills to increase your duration, which makes it easy to maintain that. So sure, it's only on well, your Jacks are out and you can't get it out right away, but this will be back quick run around and see how fast I can get to 10 stacks. Nope, I should have an Oz kit on. That'll make it faster. If I can double jump. Where's my Oz kits? Alright. So, now this, my action skill is almost halfway over, but you're pretty much going to have a skill to increase that. So, here we go, I have 50% extra damage. And there are easier ways to make this happen a hell of a lot faster as you get down the tree and share trees. So, on its own, naked, it took a while to get up there. But with enemies shooting and some other skills, it happens a hell of a lot faster, and you'll see that as we do these. Next is a ridiculous skill, and it is Synergy. Kill skill. Killing an enemy grants increased gun damage and critical hit damage. What the fuck? They've stacked so much damage in these 3 skills. So this is 30 and 30. And yes, it's a kill skill, which kind of gives it balance. But like I've talked about with Critical Ascension and the video on why you want the damage accessory instead of the critical hit damage accessory for sniper rifles, you guys should know already why this gets such a big damage increase. So that's crazy to have something like this. Now, it is a kill skill that seems to make look balanced, but when we get to the bottom, it's going to unbalance. And the amount of damage already in the skill tree just at the top is unreal. I mean, 50% here, now you're up to 80% with 30% critical hit and the damage bonus from integrity. Like, this is serious hurt. It's pretty damn incredible. And, well, when you stack up all of his damage stuff, he doesn't really need integrity on your average enemy. On bosses, this is a big deal. Next is probably one of his weaker ones. Diversify. Your Digijack's wrist laser is now a shotgun laser. This one's hit and miss. You can skip it. It doesn't really add a lot to him. But on close-up enemies, I've heard kind of mixed things about it. So if you got an extra point, you can try it out, see if you think it makes a difference. If you don't notice it, just spend that point elsewhere, because as you can see, Jack's got a lot of 1-point skills. I mean, 4 here, 3 here, and 3 here. So he's got 10 game changers, and he's got some 1-point wonders, so very cool stuff. But this is one of the weaker ones, so you can skip it. Even though I said this is probably the best skill tree in the game, no skill tree is perfect. Teamwork. This is a crazy skill. If an ally enters fight for your life or a Digijack dies, you regenerate health for a few seconds. This effect can stack up to 10 times. So these literally are a few seconds. They're not like a kill skill at 7 seconds. They last about 3 seconds each. So I rarely get up to 10 stacks with this. But I am quite often running around with 5 or 6 stacks of it. And that's a lot of health regen. Let's see here. Let me just quick do some math because I'm too tired to actually run it off the top of my head. So if you're sitting with 5 stacks, that's 12.5% per second. That's a lot. Like, that will keep you very healthy. And this is one of the best healing skills in the game because it's so easy for your jacks to die. You saw me from just running around, you can kill them. But when you add enemy fire to that and a few other skills, they die super fast. And yeah, it's crazy good. I'll demonstrate it kind of when I get to the bottom of this tree. Commitment is whenever Digijack dies, you or your friends go. Digijack dies, or a friend goes in a fight for your life, you gain a stack of commitment. The longer your friends are in fight for life, the more stacks you gain. Stacks granted when a Digijack dies last for 6 seconds, and stacks gained from other players are quickly lost when they exit fight for your life. You get bonus to fire rate, reload speed for each stack of commitment. So you get 2 stacks of fire rate and 2% fire rate and 4% reload speed per stack. The problem with this one, the stacks go away so fast. Kind of like teamwork, I don't ever get a lot of stacks, but if you got a spare point, I mean, it's essentially your jacks are going to be dying, and it's fire rate and reload speed, and those are 2 very good buffs that are kind of effortless. So yeah, it's not bad at all. However, the next one I think is much better. So accountability. When a friend or a Digijack takes damage, you gain a stack of accountability. When you take damage when you take damage, you lose half of your accountability stacks. And when you go into fight for your life, you lose all of them. You gain bonus fire rate, based fire rate and reload speed. I don't know why it doesn't say that in there. Based on how many stacks you have. So it's 1% fire rate and 2% reload. It's half the boost of these per stack, but these stacks come by much easier and stick around. I have very often gotten up to 50 stacks in co-op and maintained it for a while. And that's 50% fire rate and 100% reload for a single skill point. Now, you're not at 50 stacks a lot, but even if you're at like 20 stacks or 10 stacks, I mean, even 10 stacks, 10% fire rate and 40% reload for a single point, you can't really beat that. At 20 stacks, 20 and 40, 25, 25 and 50, this skill is bonkers. It's crazy how easy it is to stack these up, even in solo, because your jacks are kind of in front of you and they take a lot of hits, and these stacks come by really fast. And you don't really have to think about it either. You can play to this and really take advantage to keep it at max, kind of play back, do a sniper kind of setup, but you don't need to. You just get stacks just by playing, and the amount of bonus you get for 1 point is insanely good. So yeah, this skill is insanely awesome for 1 point. These 2 are okay. These are the flaws of the tree. But even this, commitment is really good for 1 point. It's just accountability does a little bit better. The fact that they're both here and you can get both, I mean, that's just a lot of fire rate and reload for very little effort. It's pretty sweet. Next is an insanely cool skill, like all of them in the skill tree. Winning. For a while this was bugged, but it's fixed now, so thank God. Killing an enemy increases your movement speed for a short time, which is a kill skill, so 7 seconds. And instantly recharges a portion of your shields. So movement speed is 20% and shield recharge is 25%. So if you boost this, it's 50% of your shield every time you get a kill. That's a big fucking deal. Just instant 50%. It's kind of like blood-soaked shields without the health penalty. And the fact that you have 2 jacks, and as we know, we can turn this into them into kill skills. Well, we're about to find that out. Means when they both die, you get all your shield back. This is pretty fucking cool. So yeah, between this and teamwork, your survival is taken care of. Because I mean, every time a Digijack dies, you get health regen and shield regen. Yes, please. And then the movement speed is great, because like I was running around earlier, well, the faster you can run around, the faster your jacks can die. So that kind of works too. Next is optimism. When one of your Digijacks die, he sets off an explosion damaging all nearby enemies. Also, the next Digijack will spawn with less health. So the really cool thing about this one is spawning with less health. So 1 point, and they get the same health penalty when they spawn with less health. You just get a more powerful Nova. Should have been out here. So the cool thing with that is, as I said, with some of these skills, you want your Digijacks to die. The faster they die, the more health regen you get, the more shield regen you get, the more you have kill skills. And then they set off a Nova, which can damage enemies as well. So now that this is almost back, hurry, 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 I will demonstrate this for you. I wish that respawn when I was in my menu, like co-op. Alright, so here these guys are. I'm going to back up and make them respawn so you can see it. So you saw that Nova. Now they come back, and they come back with less health. So let me back up. And you see it? And you can see they have less health. So they don't start with full health, and because they always kind of lose some health, you can get to a point, if you can get your action skill to go long enough, that they just start dying without you moving around because they have so little health. And because they Nova when they die, that puts out a lot of DPS as well. Now, the damage on this Nova at 5 out of 5 is actually pretty solid, and there is a skill that boosts it, and because it's explosive, and if you cryo the enemies, that gets boosted. So there's some cool synergy there. Next, just because I was there, is potential. When your Digijack spawns, he sets off a Shock Nova. Additionally, you can use expendable assets well and fight for your life. So, with this, I can spawn my Digijacks while I'm in fight for my life, but like you just saw, and I'll show you again, not now, I'll wait till I get through the rest of the skills. Now you have 2 Novas. You get 1 Nova when they spawn and 1 Nova when they blow up. And one other cool thing about that is shields resist explosive and cryo. And this is a Shock Nova, and this Shock Nova that does really good damage, especially for 1 point. So therefore you can strip the shields, and then when they die you can do cryo and explosive Novas, which boost each other, and since you got rid of the thing that resists both of those, it is better. So the power of this just single kind of Nova is really cool, but the ability that you can put them out and fight for your life is really handy, and that's going to get better in a second. Believe is another kill skill, so we have 1, 2, 3 kill skills here, and then we have Digijacks dying on 2 skills, 3 skills for Digijacks dying and 3 kill skills. Killing an enemy increases your gun damage, fire rate, reload speed, and accuracy for a short time. So 4 good stats, and this is what Ranger should have been. 25% weapon damage is serious. 20% fire rate, reload speed, both are awesome, especially when you stack them with these 2. Yes. And accuracy is always nice, especially with shotguns, which Jack loves. So this skill is really crazy, and you start to add up the DPS of this skill tree. So not only you have 3 crazy tier 1 and 2 damage skills, well then you go down here and you have pretty crazy fire rate and reload, and then you top it off with even more and add in a little extra accuracy. This skill tree has a ton of damage. Then you have 2 pet Nova skills, which are pretty big, and you can boost their damage as well. So yeah, this skill tree so far has it all, and then you add in your survival of winning and teamwork. But yet it gets better. We have another survival one here. A portion of damage dealt to you is redistributed to your Digijacks instead. So at 5 out of 5, this is 25%, and yes, you can boost this up to 55% with 11 points. This is crazy because with Optimism, they die faster, and now you're passing off damage it does to you to them, which kills them, and when they die, you get health back. Holy fuck. It comes to a point where you're insanely hard to kill. So we have this single tree here that has some of the best survival out of any tree we've seen, some of the best DPS out of any single tree, all in one, with some other support, and we're just gonna kick it all up like a billion notches here. So leadership. When a Digijack dies, it counts as you had killed an enemy. This can grant you a second wind. Second winds can be granted once per expendable asset. So the second wind thing is cool. If you die and your jacks are out, and one of them dies, you get up. That's helpful. It's helped me out many, many times. But the bigger deal with that, coffee right there, is when they die, they count as your kills. And as I just covered, we have 1, 2, 3 amazing kill skills. Now these kill skills are going to be always active. And Jack's got more awesome kill skills in his other tree. Now you have extra movement speed, and you saw you can kill them faster by moving, and you can also lower their health so they die even faster without moving. And then we have this where you pass off damage to them to kill them even faster. And the cool thing about winning especially is killing an enemy increases or gives you your shield back even when it's active. So that's not like every 7 seconds you can get that. That's every kill. Now I'm going to bring out a shield for now. Spoiler alert, this is going to be a cool shield. And let's grab a gun. Actually, I'll probably start with shotguns, so I'll just equip those now. Spoiler alert, these are the shotguns I'm going to talk about. And I'm going to show you something pretty fucking cool here. Now I'm going to have to break a little bit of the tradition here. Yeah, I'm not going to worry about boosting that now. And I'm going to go into one more skill. Best foot forward. While expendable assets is active, your action skill, killing an enemy extends its duration. The skill is diminishing returns. So now you get, every time your jacks die, it counts as your kill, so you get more duration. And that between optimism and when you take damage, it goes to your jacks and kills them, and then you've got multiple novas. So this is a amp shield, as you can see. So let's run around here. Oh, shield's back. And if I'm killing enemies, I'm getting even more shield. Shield's back. So you can see how crazy this is. Now if I'm boosting winning, it's coming back even faster, because then it's 50% each time of them dies. And then you can see how long my action skill is getting here. And look how little health they're spawning in with now. They're just instantly dying. And they spawn with a nova, and they die with a nova. And they just have 0 health. And now, if I even get nicked, they're just going to instantly die. Now you can see where that diminishing returns comes in. Which is fair enough, because, you know, it's got to have some kind of balance. But you can see why this is the best skill tree in the game. Because I can get everything back so fast. I've got so much survival. I've got so much damage. I've got utility, I've got pet support, I've got pet damage increase in 3 different ways if you think about it. Because Collaborate adds a lot of damage to them, and then you've got 2 Novas. But not only do you have 2 Novas, this speeds up the rate at which they Nova, and so does this. So then you get into this crazy Nova spam, where you just eliminate all the enemies insanely fast, and then your damage goes through the roof. And then it's really hard to break your shield when every couple of seconds you're getting 25% of it back. And then you're getting a ton of health regen underneath it. And then you're getting a bunch of fire rate and reload speed as well. It's really hard to top this skill tree by any character. You know, Maya's Harmony tree's got a lot of healing, but this skill tree with just the 3 survival skills of winning, teamwork, and Delegation makes Jack more tanky than Maya with Life Tap and Elated and Sweet Release. And the fact that you have Shield, you know, it's like, and this is probably a better shield skill than anything she has. It makes Jack just near unkillable. I mean, this puts him at Krieg levels of tank when Krieg's holding a Grog and a Flame with a Firehawk. That's insane. And then when you add in the damage on top of it, it's so damn good. And then, you know, you can put your Jacks out and fight for your life, and you can get a second win from them and fight for your life. It is, I don't know, it's hard to say enough good about this tree, because it just does everything. A lot of characters have to spend so many skill points across so many skill trees to get this. And then the other thing you saw, there are only 2 skills in here that I said you might not want. So it's pretty rare where you can pretty much max out a skill tree and have a good build. And then you'll put a few points other places. Like, you could literally max this out and have an amazing build. And Optimism, if you don't need the damage from that node, just putting 1 point there really helps. So on top of that, you got a one-hit wonder, but putting in 5 points is pretty good because the Nova's pretty solid, especially when you can boost it. So yeah, the best skill tree in the game, bar none, is the Greater Good. And to me, Leadership might be the best capstone in the game. Or sorry, in the franchise. And the funny thing about that is when Jack came out, everyone was hyped out over his other 2 capstones, and this one had very little hype. And I'm gonna pat myself in the back here. I instantly went to this skill tree because so many people were like, oh, badass Digijacks and the coolness of sponsor by, and those are 2 cool capstones. But what Leadership does with his kill skills, with Best Foot Forward, with just helping them die faster for teamwork and collaborate bonuses. Yeah, it's on its own, it doesn't sound that impressive, but the synergy of it is, and that's what I was talking about, what makes his action skill so good. You know, Death Trap was a pet, and you pretty much put Death Trap out and forgot about him. There's very little synergy, and Roland's turrets, like, you know, they kind of put out that healing and ammo saving thing, which was kind of cool, but it didn't have this kind of synergy with like the Novas and killing them, and them dying gives you health and shield. Like, there's so many connections here between Delegation and Optimism and winning and your kill skills and teamwork and collaborate and Best Foot Forward and so on and so on. Just the synergy you get, synergy, haha, get it, is absolutely fucking nuts. So yeah, once again, Greater Good is the greatest skill tree in the franchise, in my opinion. So I'm going to respec and then go over the other ones. Since I already went over the Greater Good and then I moved over and showed you Best Foot Forward, I'm just going to dig into the hero of this story next. This is, well, Greater Good is all about kind of killing your Jacks. This one's more about keeping them alive. Now, the problem is the Greater Good is so good that to a point it makes this tree less desirable, but this is still a really good skill tree. And it's got some of the coolest stuff in it. So Best Foot Forward, I already kind of talked about a little bit there, but while your action skill is active, killing an enemy extends its duration. This skill has diminishing returns. This is insanely good. So you just saw me demonstrate it, but there are multiple comms that boost this. So you get 5 seconds per kill with diminishing returns. And you saw how long I was able to get the action skill going. But then you also add in enemy kills on top of your Digijacks dying, and that's a lot more seconds per kill that you're going to get. And usually you can clear waves, and then what you do is you recall your Jacks to get the reduced cooldown, and then they're ready for that next wave. And you can get some really good Jack management and kind of always have your action skill up, and you saw everything that happens when your action skill is up, which makes this one of his most important skills. Like, almost no build you ever do with Jack is not going to be getting this, and the fact that it's tier 1 and you can get that kind of duration out of it, it's insanely powerful. and it's boostable, which makes it just insane. Next is Bolster. Increases the maxed health of you and your Digijax. Additionally, the longer a Digijack is alive, the more damage it does. So this sounds really cool in theory. But the max health at 15% for you isn't much, but that's cool. I mean, Jack can definitely health stack, especially because you saw this is percent to health. So health stacking isn't an issue for him. Digijack max health plus 30%. That's cool. Damage bonus per second at 10% is really good. But there is a slight issue that remains. As you saw when I moved, they died. And then they just die over time. And with enemies shooting them, they die, quite a bit faster. So the chances of keeping them alive to really get a ton out of this is a little bit harder. Now you can do a build around that and make it work, but the kind of moving around build works a little bit better. And like me and Hoyle were talking about in the Wilhelm one, in TPS, like it's hard to kind of like stay in that bubble, and it's hard to stay still because you're double jumping around. You got your O2 kits and you're moving around pretty quick. So it can be hard to get a lot out of Bolster, but if you're disciplined, you can do something with it, and it can be very powerful. Moving down to the next tier, Just Compensation. This is another crazy good skill. Increases magazine size with all gun types, as well as grenade damage. Bonus increase for every grenade missing from your supply. If you are carrying the maximum number of grenades, you receive no bonus. So if you're out of grenades, you get 40% grenade damage and 60% magazine size, which is massive. So the flare here is normally a magazine of 5 or 9. And you can see with this, the 60% magazine bonus puts it up to a 14, which is a pretty big increase. This is 31 normally, and now it's 49. So if I buy some grenades here, you see it goes down to that 31. But every time I chuck a grenade, my magazine goes up and my grenade damage goes up. So with this, you can definitely get a lot of grenade damage. Now you have to keep your grenades low, but that's about to become a hell of a lot easier. And then your magazines go really big. And one of the only things this skill tree didn't have was a magazine boost. Well, you had all that fire rate and reload. Now you have a big magazine increase. Pretty awesome. And we already saw some critical hit and a lot of base damage bonus, and now you got grenade damage, which with splash damage guns is multiplicative, and this again is boostable, so you can get up to 120 and 80. That's something that makes Axton jealous. Now the only thing is not always on. You need to manage your grenade counts, but like I said, I'm going to get to that. In fact, I'm going to skip these two skills and just go to the skill that goes with this because it makes more sense. Jack's Cash. So when you or your Digijax kill an enemy, you gain a stack of cash. Throwing a grenade when you have 4 stacks throwing a grenade when you have 4 stacks consumes all your stacks instead of grenade ammo. But the cool thing about this is, as we saw, leadership makes when your Digijax die counts as you killing an enemy. So getting up to 4 stacks happens very fast, which means you always have a free grenade to throw pretty much. Like by the time you throw it, and when you throw a grenade, you're probably going to kill some enemies with a grenade. And then you get stacks back, and then your Jacks die, and you got enough stacks to throw another one. And this makes Jack pretty much one of the best grenade characters they've ever designed, because with this, you can get up to 80% grenade damage if you boost to 88 if you go a 6 out of 5, or a blue comm. And then you can have pretty much unlimited grenades, and yeah, I mean, unlimited grenades with a massive grenade bonus, I like that. And then the fact that you throw in a massive magazine size bonus on top of it, and it makes it really easy to manage your grenade counts. If you pick up a grenade and all of a sudden you have one grenade, you just chuck it. So that way you're only chucking your free ones. And you always keep your count somewhere between like 0 and 2 for massive bonuses. All the win. And once again, this is why I love Jack, is he's got these amazing synergies with, just compensation really good, but when you add Jack's cash and leadership to it, all of a sudden it's ridiculously good. And that's the cool thing. That's amazing design. Next is you have my shield. Your Digijacks gain an exact copy of your shield, complete with all the benefits it brings. So this was a capstone for Gage. Sharing is caring. That was a capstone. Jack has this in tier 2 for 1 point. But not only that, but Jack can get a lot more out of this than theirs. So there's a bunch of synergies here. And one of them is Nova shields. And I'm going to go over shields when I get to the gear. But we already saw 2 Novas. Explosive and a shield. Now you can add a 3rd Nova. And there are Cryo Nova shields in this game, so you can have a Cryo, an Explosive, and a Shock Nova. Or a Shock, Explosive, and Fire, or 2 Shocks and a Fire, or 2 Shocks and an Explosive, or 2 Explosives. And, the Deadly Bloom's got your double Nova. And this makes him be able to kind of Nova more than Krieg can. Except because Krieg just had it on him, but you can have 2 Jacks just Novaing like fucking crazy. And that's in multiple element Novas on top of that, or the black hole, and you can pull enemies all over the place. But it also works with Roid shields. Your Jack shots can get the Roid damage on them, making them insanely stupidly powerful. Especially when you're boosting that damage with things like Bolster or Collaborate. So, yeah, this one, for 1 point in tier 2, it's insane that, again, this was a capstone for Gage, but this skill, even if this was a capstone for Jack, this would be better than it was for Gage because of how his Jacks can work. And it's tier 2. It's completely insane. And I love it because it's so easy to get to. Next you have Take Their Freedom, which is another insanely good healing skill. Whenever you or your Digijacks kill an enemy, you and your Digijacks gain 12.5% health. So I often skip this because I really want to go with that Optimism kill in the low. But even if you get Optimism, you saw how easy it was to kill the Jacks just by running around. And 12.5% on kill is a big fucking number. Especially when you move, both your Jacks die. And when both of your Jacks die, you instantly get 25% of your health back. And then you kill an enemy at the same time as that. And you can see how fast and how tanky this can make you. And that's on top of the already good skills we saw. So if you get that and teamwork, which you absolutely can, you get this passive health regeneration, or I guess it's active. So you get that active health regeneration, and then you get these just big health boost on top of it. And Jack is really freaking tanky. Next we have the best skill in all video games. Leadership. Leadership is stupid and hilarious, and they kind of learned from Krieg here. So Krieg, when he first came out, when he was on fire, he just talked nonstop, and it was kind of a bug where he talked more than they wanted him to, and there's a lot of people that complained about it. So they took it out of the game, and they nerfed how much he talked, I guess. And then a lot of people were mad about that because they loved how much he talked. So in the pre-sequel, they gave you an option. So Inspire, Jack will occasionally inspire you with words of greatness. Now this often happens like after you complete a wave of enemies or you beat a badass or a boss. And he's got some lines that he'll say, and they're all hilarious. And we know, I think it's Damian Clark is the voice actor for Jack. Does amazing work, and sometimes you just want to hear Jack talk more. And here you can spend a skill point to make him talk more. I wish I could go find that quote. It's kind of buried in the old forms that are hard to search. But Botman, I believe it was Botman, made a post about this when people are asking about it. And it kind of went along the lines of, Inspire is a skill that, or is the first skill in a video game that doesn't boost the character in the game, but boosts the player. It is the first skill to ever do this, making it the greatest skill ever. Most skills just boost the character, but this one makes you better. Why? Because you deserve it, and you guys are the greatest. It was some kind of corny thing like that, but it's just incredibly funny, and you can probably peel the 1 point to get it most often. I have a few builds that I couldn't get it, but most of my builds I can spare the point to throw it in here. And it's just fucking funny. And it's so Gearbox to do something like this. It's kind of like, makes me love them a little bit more. Some people are like, that's stupid, it doesn't do anything for your character. I'm like, no, they're just giving you an option. Like, spend 1 skill point and hear Jack talk more. I fucking love it. So, next is Hero Pose. Now, while the top of this skill tree was amazing, the bottom is kind of a little bit more of a... I don't know if it's a little bit more of a letdown, but it's kind of weird. Hero Pose improves shield capacity, shield recharge rate, and shield delay 2017. That's really solid. It's always on. But between winning, teamwork, and take their freedom, I don't know if you really need this, to be honest. And it's really solid, boosting all 3 of those. But it's kind of deep in the tree. And again, he's got so much good survival already. To need this at this point is a little bit weird. Or maybe unneeded. The next is On My Mark. Pressing left button during expendable assets causes your Digijax to throw a copy of your grenade at an enemy under your crosshairs. You can only do this once each activation. So there's a few problems with this. So you can only do it once per action skill. But one of the problems is it works kind of funky with longbow. Oops, that's not a grenade. So with this... Oops. So I can chuck my grenade. Oh, they can't because they're not an actual enemy. Oh, there they go. They both chucked it at that guy. But, with the longbow ones, and longbow's the best trigger, they kind of miss that enemy and they just throw it into the oblivion because they throw it past the enemy often. So it works better with like lobbed grenades. Let's see if I can do it. Get rid of... Ah, shit, I can't. Alright, I'll just unequip that. And I'll bring them back out. See if I can get this going. So they kind of tossed it, but it didn't really work. Maybe it went over the edge. Thought I would have seen him explode. Let's try it on this guy. He's against a wall. Maybe we can make it work on him. But it's really kind of gimmicky and finicky, and it doesn't really work the best. Whoops. Well, maybe I can get a longbow since he's against the wall with them. Yeah. Saw him kind of aim there, but it didn't happen. I probably need to actually be out in combat, so... It's another odd one. You usually kind of want to skip it because you can only do it once per action skill, and usually you're not recalling them often because you're extending your duration with best foot forward. So yeah, it's just not that great. So it's one you can skip. In theory, when it goes with these two, it's really cool, and it's 2 extra grenade tosses, but it just doesn't really work all that great. if they kind of managed the AI with it, or if it was on a cooldown where you could do it like every 20 seconds or something like that, it'd be a lot cooler. But you get your action skill going so long with him, it's just, you can do it too rarely. Next is Lean on Me, which is really good. Increases your fire rate and gives your Digijax a chance to get a bonus corrosive shot based on how high your health is. Now, most of the time when you see skills like this, it's based on how low your health is. But this one is so on how high. And again, with Take Their Freedom and Teamwork and Leadership making those things insane, it's really easy to stay at full health with Jack. Meaning it's really easy to have an always-on 35% fire rate boost. Now, the extra shot chance with Corrosive, who cares about that? And Corrosive bonus is kind of dumb. Kind of like I said with Venom Bolts. But just the fire rate here for you is really good. And yes, you can boost this by comms. So an always-on 70% fire rate. And then on top of that, you have things like Believe, Accountability, and Commitment. You can get insane fire rate with Jack. I mean, you can get 70% here, you go and get this, there's another 20, you're at 90. This one you get up to, let's just say 20 stacks, that's 110 fire rate. You get a few stacks like this, you're at 120% fire rate. That's huge. Like, that's fucking massive. So, we've kind of, seen, again, critical hit, base damage, tons of reload, grenade damage, and now fire rate. Like, Jack's got skills to do it all. Like, very few characters you see with all of these tools, but you're seeing it with Jack. Next is Resolute. You and your Digijax gain damage resistance and gain gun damage for a few seconds after taking damage. Weapon damage 35%. It's fairly solid. The damage resistance, it's kind of cool. This one, just for a tier 5, isn't that spectacular, but it's good. It's more damage. Like I said, he's already got a lot of that, so more of that's cool. But when you add this in Delegation, you can do insanely crazy tanking builds because you pass off your damage and you resist damage. It's kind of cool, but often it's unneeded. Now, if you're already going down here, maybe you want to grab this, but it's not really always desirable. But it's a really good skill. And that's the weird thing with Jack. Like, you take this right here, a really good skill, and other characters in the game would probably, there's certain ones that really die for something like this. Especially because with you and your Digijax, like, they're always taking damage. So to activate this is not very hard. And yeah, it's solid. Not much else to it. Persistence. Not everyone loves this, but I'm actually a really big fan of this one. Well, expendable assets is cooling down. You gain shield capacity and health regeneration. The lower your health, the stronger the regeneration. The boost on this is really good. So up to 10% max health per second is a really big number. And 40% shield capacity is also a pretty big number. And yeah, this is boostable. So while your Jacks are down, now they're not down often, because if you manage them right, you can keep them out most of the time. But, because then you're going to lose teamwork, essentially. And Take Their Freedom will be active, but you're getting a lot less kills when you're not getting your Jacks dying and counting as kills. So you're a lot more vulnerable. Also, if you have, Delegation, now that's not really active because your Jacks aren't out. So in winning, it's still active as long as you're getting kills, but you're not getting those free easy Jack kills. So your survival goes down a lot during your cooldown. But this really fixes that. So if you have that loop with Jack, and even if your cooldown isn't on for that long because you're doing a good job calling them back and stuff, it's a really, really good survival skill for that. Because like I said, 10% of your max health per second is a really fast number. Let's see if I can. I think I can do this. Yeah, so I'll remove health there. I'll let my jacks come back, and then I'll switch my shields. And well, you can see my health regen there. But all right, so they're out. I don't think I have a health stacking one, but I'll just put on a normal one. All right, so now we got health. You see, that's pretty quick. 10% is pretty fast. And again, that's boostable. And when you boost that, that's insanely high health regeneration. And you know, it didn't get all the way to full there because my health kind of went up. When your health is really, really low, it goes even faster. So, yeah, really good skill. Not needed in all builds, but I really like it. I kind of wish it was higher up in the tree, but so be it. I really dig it. Not everyone loves it. I don't use it in every build, but in the builds I do use it, it's fucking fantastic. And then you get Promote the Ranks. Your first Digijack spawned will be a badass that deals increased damage, has increased health, and can launch a powerful Digi-Missile Barrage. Each Digijack spawned afterwards has a chance to be a badass by 33%. So when you put this out, you can see, oh, they're both badasses. Cool. So these guys do more damage, they have more health, they're just awesome and huge looking. See if I can get one of the... Yeah, you can see just how much bigger he is than the other guy. So yeah, these guys are pretty fucking cool. They just do a lot more damage, and if you want to do a cool pet build, pretty awesome. Just look at that animation too. Like that guy's standing on the fence and the badass was bigger than him. Let's get him out of the walls there. Let's get a Digi... Nope, no badass. Oh, that's it. It's over. So, it's a cool capstone for sure. And even if you're doing the blow 'em up build and you're going deep in this tree, it can still be worth getting just because when they are out there, they will be doing more damage, even if they're out there for a short time. So, yeah. Not as good as the Greater Good, but this is still a really good skill tree. So, you know, in this skill tree, you have crazy fire rate, you have weapon damage, you have grenade damage, you have pet damage, you have changing your pets, you have some good shield and insane health survival in this, and action skill duration. So, again, a really well-rounded, well-themed skill tree. However, the kind of popping Jack Nova spam builds are generally a little bit stronger than your average pet builds, but it doesn't mean you can't make them awesome and can't make them insanely viable. So that is, yeah, that is the hero of the story. But some of this stuff, like I said, best foot forward, take their freedom, you have my shield, just compensation, and Jack's cash. Like, the first 3 tiers in this are so good that, you know, it's really easy to put a lot of points into here and still get all these without having to go and get these. And you don't need any of these skills combined with this. But, you know, hey, lean on me to get more fire rate with all this stuff. It's still insanely good. And you saw just his options of doing insanely good DPS and different weapon types with all the different kind of damage boost already. How where the potential is on all of that. So let's move on to his last tree. His final tree is just kind of the Jack tree. The Free Enterprise, which is cool. It's the corporate names, and he's got other ones, obviously. Diversify, Commitment, Accountability. I like the theming of him as well. High frequency trading increases weapon swap speed at 75%. That's really good. Swap speed is always awesome. It's just swap speed, but 75% is a massive number. And why this is so cool, you'll see as the tree goes on, it kind of encourages a lot of weapon swapping, which makes this skill even better. Incentives, swapping weapons increases fire rate for a short time. Each stack lasts 10 seconds. And all stacks are lost if you do not swap weapons within 10 seconds of activation. 10% fire rate per stacks, up to 4 stacks. This one is cool, but you need to really like swap a lot to really get it and keep it active. And sometimes you're just losing DPS by doing that. So I don't love it, to be honest. But it's not bad. It's always a little bit of extra fire rate when you are swapping. But a lot of the playstyles I do with Jack, it kind of builds around like specializing into that one gun that you're using most of the time, so that you're not really swapping all that often. But that's okay, because high frequency trading, even if I'm kind of concentrating on that one gun, when I do swap, I want to be able to swap fast. I always love swap speed, which makes this good. I don't really want to take that without high frequency. But sometimes in the second skill tree, you don't really need either of these, although they can be good. So compound interest is probably the weakest of these top four. Shooting an enemy applies compound interest to that enemy, causing it to accrue interest for 5 seconds. Shooting the same enemy with a different gun consumes compound interest and deals explosive damage based on your skill rank and the amount of interest occurred. This skill only activates when using guns that fire bullets or lasers. So you actually need a pellet. You get 70% interest rate per second. The damage on this, if you let it wait for that 5 seconds, is okay. But as UVHM goes up, it becomes a little less impressive, and the problem with it is you're just better off just killing the enemy really fast. And on bosses, you're shooting them so constant that you're not really getting this. And it's kind of cool in theory with like the weapon swapping, but in practice, I used to kind of like it in earlier levels, but as I got to endgame, it kind of became pointless. So not a great skill here. It's cool and it's interesting, but yeah, not the best. Marginal benefits now. Throwing a grenade has a chance to reload all equipped weapons. And at 5 out of 5, this is 45%, but this is boosted. And we saw how much he likes to throw grenades. And then between that and the big magazine increase at just compensation, you have some really cool synergy there. It's weird that it's in free enterprise for this, but they're both tier 2. I guess tier 3 with Jack's Cash. So, yeah, pretty fucking cool. Yeah, it's almost like another magazine size increase, but it's not, and it can be better. Where this comes in really awesome is glitch guns, because once you get that glitch, you want to keep it, and this makes it really easy to keep it, because you can always spam grenades, and then when you're spamming grenades, you get your magazine back, and your grenades are doing a lot of damage, or maybe they're just cryo grenades, so you go out freezing things. Either way, very good skill here. And in some builds, it's insanely good, because the ability to keep that glitch on all the time, that's insanely powerful. Money is Power is probably Jack's most misunderstood skill. So picking up money grants you a stack of Money is Power. You deal increased damage with all gun types for every Money is Power stack you currently have. All stacks are lost upon dying or spending money. Now, Jack's got a bunch of ammo mitigation, so you don't actually have to really go and buy ammo at all. Now with this, you can get up to 999 stacks, and if you times that by 0.25, 0.25%, so 999 times 0.0025 equals 200. I'm doing that wrong. Yeah, 249% extra damage, which is insanely huge. But with this, every 4 stacks is 1%. So if you get 100 stacks, you're already gaining 25% damage for 1 point. That's the point with this thing. It's not about maxing it out, because people complain it takes too long to max it out, and then you never get the full benefit. Look, if you get 999 stacks with this, you are OP as fuck. Now, you have the option of spending, a lot of time running around just picking up stacks of money, But in my experience, like, I rarely get over 400 stacks, which is 100% damage. And that's really fucking good. But you don't really rely on this like Gage relies on Anarchy. This is just gravy. It's bonus damage on top of all of Jack's other things. Like, Gage only had Anarchy, so she relied on it. And Jack doesn't rely on this. This is just all kind of extra on top. So you don't worry about needing 999. Just play the game, and as you pick up stacks, you get a little more powerful. And money drops pretty often. So it doesn't really take all that long to get money with Jack. Oh, that's not fire. I think I already had that with Jack anyways. So yeah, you can just kind of do this before you start your game and you run around Concordia. I used to have a kind of a good loop built up where I could run around it real fast and usually just start the game with like 20-30 stacks and then go. But I didn't even really keep doing that because money falls so fast as just killing enemies and picking them up that you don't really have to worry about it. I had the Boomicorn. I could have probably lit this on fire with that. Maybe not. So yeah, it's not that skill that it's not Anarchy where you need to get a lot of stacks on it before you even go and play the game, because that's her sole really damage increase, because you already saw how many other damage increases Jack has. So you know, if anything you get out of this is good. 100 stacks. Name another skill that for one skill point you can get 100% damage increase with no penalty. Like, I don't think there is one in the game. Like, 100% damage bonus for one stack, or sorry, even 25. So you get 100 stacks of this, which isn't that hard. That just happens from playing the game relatively quickly. And you have a 25% damage bonus for one skill point. I mean, most of your tier 1 like skill points that'll increase like gun damage and something else, for like 5 out of 5 you're looking at like 15% gun damage. Jack's got some bigger ones than others. Like like Collaborate, you can get up to 50%, but that's for 5 points. For one skill point, if you max this out with 10 stacks, you get 10% damage. This one, you way out exceed that. So don't look at money as power as you need 999 stacks to make it good. Think of it as it's always good no matter how many stacks you have, because you're going to get up to stacks pretty quickly. Just me running around and talking about it here, I've got 10 stacks, but enemies drop money like crazy. So yeah, you get a lot. You get a ton of stacks just by letting enemies die, and it's fucking amazing. But it's not that skill that I guess there's a lot of videos at first when the game came out and people were going around and collecting 990 stacks, 999, and seeing how fast they kill Ujira or certain boss things. But like I said, it's a pain in the ass to go around and get that many stacks. Like I said, I rarely get over 400 before I end my gaming session, but it's quite often I'm running around with 100 or so, and that's pretty awesome. Especially with like Digi if you're doing the peak runs and stuff. Holy crap, you can when you get up to like 200, 300, 400 stacks in that, it makes it so fucking easy. But yeah, right here, just from running around town, I've got 19 stacks. I'm ready to go, and some. So that's money is power. Just kind of look at it that way. Don't look at it as you need a lot of stacks. Just look at it as any stack is good. Next is Company Man. This is one of my favorite skills, and this gives me so many ideas and hope for Borderlands 3. Grants increased accuracy and critical hit damage with all gun types based on the number of Hyperion manufactured gear you had equipped. You get 7.5 accuracy percent per Hyperion item. And you get 10% critical hit damage. So if you have 7 Hyperion items, this is the way I like to run it. You throw on 7 of them, and that's 52% accuracy. That's going to make almost any gun go from max accuracy to min accuracy. And then critical hit damage, if you have 7 of them, that's 70% critical hit always on. That's a huge number. So let's... Alright, I'm going to take off all Hyperion items, which means I'm going to drop some. Alright, so I have no Hyperion items on. You are going too far, grenade. So let's see, which one has the worst accuracy? 56, 56, 12. Alright, so if I'm standing like right on this line, you can see it's right about the size of the fan. So let me pick these back up. And do I have that many Hyperion? I don't know if I picked up that many other Hyperion guns. Let's see, I can probably find another one. Maybe. Yeah, definitely. Hyperion. Alright. Now let's look at the accuracy change of this. I was standing right on this line. Holy crap, that is a massive difference in accuracy. So you can see what 50% accuracy does. It does a whole hell of a lot. And then critical hit damage. Oh yeah, I forgot. I did that math wrong. It's even more. Oh, that's boosted. That's why. Never mind. Put on a com that boosted. So yeah, you can see how big these numbers are getting. I should probably not do a com that boost it. I did not mean to do that. There we go. So now let's look at that. That's still a massive increase. And then if you go with a shotgun, you know, something that's from a 12. But if you look at something like the flare, look how accurate you're getting that shotgun. And I think that's actually max accuracy. Let's go back to the one that boosts it. It gets a little tighter, but not much. So yeah, that's absolutely insane how accurate you can get things with that skill. And between this critical hit, and then we saw the critical hit from Synergy, and then all your base damage from like Collaborate and Believe and Money is Power, you're doing insane critical hit damage. So yeah, Company Man is pretty ridiculous, and thematically it's so cool because, you know, although he's a clone of Jack, it is, you know, he's a Hyperion character, and the fact that you're getting like kind of building towards allegiance here. There's a lot of players out there that love allegiance builds, and the fact that they did something going towards that direction, I hope they expand on this in Borderlands 3, because there's a lot of potential to do this with different brands. I would love to see like a Jacobs Company Man, or, you know, a Torg Company Man. You know, instead of increasing accuracy and critical hit damage, like Torg would boost, I don't know, reload and grenade damage, or yeah, reload and grenade damage would be awesome, because then you could also go with like TDR and use it for chucking, or just, you know, Torg guns typically reload slow, or Jacobs it'd be probably just base damage and magazine size maybe, or recoil reduction and base damage or whatever. But the potential here to do more with other characters and other games, I think, is really big, and I think this is one of the coolest skills in the entire franchise, in my opinion. I fucking love this. I think it's so awesome. And you don't need to go all 7. Like, even doing like 4 or 5 is really good. So you're not pigeonholed with this to going all Hyperion. And there's a lot of awesome Hyperion items, and a lot of his comms are Hyperion, which makes it really easy to, get up to 5, 6 pretty fast. Next is Merger. This is a melee override. Press your melee button to fire shock lasers from your wrist. This ability has a cooldown. So this, I think there's some gun transfer, like glitches and stuff you can do with that. I never really got into it all that much, but you can see when he punches, you've got that laser on his wrist there when you get that. So it's cool. Does that work with pistols where you can see that laser sticking out there, kind of like Wilhelm's, like Jacob's? Yep. Doesn't really get in the way though. Maybe if you have lower FOV that would get in the way. I should try that. That might be a thing for... Because I think consoles are typically at like 70 FOV. Oh, then you don't even really see it. God, that FOV is terrible. That's why I have trouble with Borderlands 1. Alright, that's better. So yeah, it's cool for some people. I never really got into that, just because he can do so much with his guns. I never got into the point of doing that, but it's cool. Taxation of trade routes increases your fire rate with all gun types. This bonus is based on how many bullets are currently in the magazine of all your equipped guns. The emptier your gun's magazines, the greater the bonus. So here we got this at 8.7. Let me get a slower firing gun. So yeah, 3.9. So you guys see that fire rate. So what you can do with this skill is, I want to get a big magazine there. I'm going to kind of empty my magazines. You can see it actually speeding up. So if you're really shit, went too far. If you're really... God damn it, I was trying to stop at 1. I'll just be safe there. So now, you can see that's a big fire bonus. So if you're really focusing on that one gun build, what you can do is you can carry around your other guns with decent sized magazines, and you get a massive fire rate boost. Now when you combine that with Lean on Me, in fact I'll have the skill points to go down there and get that. Let's go back to this. You get pretty crazy fire rates. So once again, Jack has a lot of support for an insane fire rate build, which is pretty fucking awesome. Although this is kind of like Lean on Me and some of these other ones down there, you don't always need it, but it is really cool. Next is probably his best skill outside of leadership. And why I say outside of leadership is because it's a kill skill, and leadership makes this so much better. Killing an enemy causes your shots to have a chance to not consume ammo for a short time. Rocket launchers have a reduced chance, they have half the chance. So this is 40 and 20. Now, this is boostable by multiple comms up to 88% and 44%. And as your jacks die, that counts as your kills if you have leadership, which you should. So this is almost like an always-on 88% chance to not use ammo. That's insane. Insanely insane. Or 80% chance if you're using like a purple or something. But yeah, even 80% chance, that's a very, very high chance to never consume ammo. And not only that saves your ammo, but that makes your magazines 80% larger on average. And Jack already has just compensation, where you can get your magazines 120% bigger. So, and then you can get them reloaded without reloading them with marginal benefits, and glitch weapons have already double magazine sizes. So basically, he can almost shoot guns forever. I've done runs with Jack where I never reloaded once in an entire map. That's nuts. And there's so many guns that are balanced by having small magazines or long reloads. And Jack completely break that. So absolute advantage is probably overpowered. And it's one of those things that this combined with leadership, this is the one thing that if Jack's OP, it's this combination that makes him. Everything else makes him really good. AA and leadership is the thing that kind of makes him break things. I shouldn't almost say kind of. It does make him break things. But it's in interesting ways. And I'm going to get that when I get to the guns, just how we can break guns. And break in like cool, interesting ways. If you hear some humming out there, someone's working on a motorcycle, I'll go shut my window after these few skills. Hopefully it's not coming through in a big way. But I have my windows open because it's November. That doesn't make any sense. Laser surplus is a slam augment. When you slam, you shoot a cone of lasers in front of you. I mean, it's kind of interesting, but it really doesn't do all that much. And if you've got the extra point and you like it, grab it, because why not? But it's not really all that great or effective. But, you know, it is free DPS for 1 point. It's not great DPS, but it's free DPS for 1 point. And, you know, can't really complain about that too much. But I usually don't end up getting it because he's got so many good one-pointers that it's really easy to spend him. And he's got so many good skills. It's not always that easy to, you know, go and grab this. Supply and demand. This is really kind of weird and in a weird spot. I have grabbed it on one build ever only. Grants you and your allies constant health regeneration. The lower your health, the more powerful the regeneration. 5% of your max health per second. Allies receive 1% per second, which is kind of low. It's kind of like sustenance, which I like, but it gives a little bit to your teammates, which is kind of cool. But it's weird that they get so little. I mean, you can't give them a lot, but I don't know. It's awkward being at tier 5 in this tree that doesn't really have any other survival. It seems out of place. And he's got so much other good survival. You don't really need this. It is always on, so it's not dependent on his jacks, which is kind of nice. But you're definitely getting AA if you're this deep. So, and then he's got a lot of good skills over here. So there's not a lot of times it comes up where you can get this in builds. Like I said, I have had one build where I put it into just because I was going all out with like delegation and optimism, and I didn't want to take their freedom to give the jacks health back because I wanted to be able to have them die insanely fast without running around, so I could, you know, aim for crits and stuff. So I took this instead to get a little extra survival, and I wanted some survival while they were down. So it does kind of have a purpose, but I think persistence is better because while your jacks are up, you don't need that. While they're down, this is better than supply and demand. But you might not be that low in that tree and this tree if, you know, you're probably getting leadership and sponsored by. So it's kind of a little bit awkward, but it's not bad. It's just, I think, in the wrong spot. If this was where compound interest was, I think it'd be a very common skill to grab. But being at tier 5 here, I think it's in the wrong spot. Lastly is really cool. So when the game first came out, or when Jack was first announced, this maybe was the most hyped skill, and for good reasons. It's fucking interesting. Your gun adds a manufacturer bonus based on the last gun you held in your hands. So Doll, you can have 50% recoil reduction, which can be very helpful. Hyperion, 30% accuracy. And when you combine that with Company Man, holy crap, that's a lot of accuracy. And Believe. I mean, between the three of these, if you have, let's say, the 7 items here, plus this, plus the 20% Believe, you're well over 100% accuracy bonus, which will bring almost any gun down to max accuracy. Actually, I have all that on, so let's take another look. Do I still have Hyperion, Hyperion, Hyperion? Let's get that shotgun back. Where are you? 12%er. Alright. Let's get it back in that same spot. Yeah, still not quite as tight as the flare, but this used to be such a big spread, it was kind of outside all around this area. And that's a massive, massive accuracy change. Like I said, he can get that even tighter by going down to get Believe as well. That's just insane. Oh wait, I didn't switch. Did I switch from a yeah, I did switch from a Hyperion gun. So there's the Hyperion bonus. I think I did. Yep. It's that left. You see that left, the bigger icon. Actually, I'll show you that by changing it to a Hyperion, so now you can see it's Torg, Hyperion, Torg.
Reverse engineering.
Alright, so the next one, Jacobs, is just a flat additive 30% weapon damage, which combined with all of his other ones and his critical hit boosts, that's really awesome. So, yeah, the bonus is where it was. So the Molly one, that's 25% damage is elemental splash damage. Scav, you get extra magazine size, which is very cool. Tedior, faster reload. Torg, splash damage as explosive damage. And Vladoff, fire rate. So you can kind of pick and choose what you want to boost, and have guns in your backpack, kind of just for swapping purposes. And you have that swap speed bonus. So you can there's so many different ways to add different things that you want to that gun. Like the Molly one is elemental. When you're fighting RK5, and let's say I'm doing a Jacob shotgun build, I can just throw on any corrosive Molly one gun, swap from that gun to my flare, and add corrosive splash damage to my flare, which has massive base damage and makes the flare even more insane. So there's a lot of things you can do with that. You can swap from a cryo Molly one gun just to add cryo splash damage, cryo splash damage to your shots. Or if you're using a cryo gun, you can add explosive splash damage to it, which is really powerful because explosive gets boosted by cryo, which makes that 25 even bigger. If you have a crypt-based weapon, you can swap from a Jacobs to make that a lot bigger, combined with all of his other ones. His magazine size skills are already crazy with just compensation, marginal benefits, and absolute advantage. But you can make it even bigger with a scav and really get a small magazine huge. Obviously the fire rate's really cool, and we saw what he can already do with taxation and lean on me. But now you can make that even faster with a Vladoff. It's just so many ways to make things better. Like, any one boost on this isn't that huge as a capstone, but being able to do all of those is, it's fun, it's creative, it's interesting. It's one of the cooler capstones they've done, for sure. And I hope to see more stuff like that in the future. So that is his free enterprise tree. Out of his 3 trees, this is probably it's almost my least favorite. And although like Company Man and AA are 2 of my favorite skills, and I really like Sponsored By, I find the kind of top half a little bit underwhelming. Money is Power is cool. So it's weird. It's like it's got a lot of good. I really like 4 skills in it. Money is Power, Company Man, Absolute, and Sponsored By. And those are 4 amazing skills. But the rest of the skill tree I don't find very interesting, which is kind of sad. But, I just did that Wilhelm one. Wilhelm would have killed for 4 skills like these. I mean, absolutely killed. And these are 4 really awesome skills. So that being said, I'm going to cut out here and go do the guns. So moving on to guns. Before I go over the guns, keep in mind I try to limit myself to 4 guns of any one type, because if not, these videos already have gone, some of them over 3 hours. I could easily turn these into like 4 or 5 hour videos by adding too many guns. So Jack is one of those characters that makes so many guns awesome, and you can make a case for almost any gun in the game why it should be on this. So I just selected a few. Don't be upset if some of your favorite guns or guns you thought that should be on here weren't, because there's just not time for everything. That being said, the first one I'm going to go over is the flare, because as I was talking about breaking guns, Jacob's shotguns are typically balanced off of low magazine, and when they consume multiple shots, they go through that magazine fast. Now, a typical coach gun or quad is a 2-shot. One of the flare's special abilities is it's got the increased magazine size, making it a 5-shot, where most coaches are 2. The other balance of them are, high recoil. They do have a quick reload because they have that short mag, but because they have that tiny mag and they're non-elemental, they have very high base damage, and then they have a type B critical hit, and this is a dox prefix, so it's got a 50% type A. So why are these so good with Jack? Well, first of all, with AA, it lets him shoot them for a really long time. You can turn that 5-shot into like 10, 20 pretty easily. And then between other increases like just compensation, you can really shoot these things for a long time, which breaks them. Also, you can make them insanely accurate, and they are shotguns with a spread. So by getting that spread down and landing more pellets on what you're aiming at, you've drastically increased the DPS. As I said in my shotgun video, accuracy equals DPS for shotguns. And Jack has a ton of ways to increase that accuracy. But also, the Jacobs shotguns have a type B critical hit at 15%, so you're increasing all of his critical hit damage bonuses, which are a lot between Synergy and Company Man. You're making all those a hell of a lot bigger. And then you can add an element to it in the form of splash damage, breaking it even further. So yeah, and they already reload fast, and Jack can make that reload insanely fast. So Jacob's shotguns in general, Jack can absolutely break the shit out of them and make them insanely powerful. I don't think anyone gets... No, I have to rephrase that. No one in the game is nearly as good with Jacob's shotguns as Jack is. He is by far the best Jacob's shotgun character in the game. Yes, way better than Aurelia or anyone. Aurelia can get the single shot a lot higher, but she has to reduce the mag to do that. Jack can just shoot these things for days. The Boomicorn's kind of like that. I just put it through there because when you can make horse noises non-stop, instead of shooting 1 shot, when you can get this thing up to like a 10-shot, that's a lot of horse noises, and he can make it insanely powerful. The Torgmata I have here is just as kind of a representation... that's not the Torgmata. A representation for all Torg guns. Jack can make Torg guns insanely good because A, he can boost the hell out of the base damage. He can really increase the magazine size. Torg shotguns get grenade damage bonuses on the splash, so he can really increase that. He can mitigate their slow reload and fire rate by a lot. He can have his Jacks go around spawning Cryonovas by putting a Cryonova shield on them, really increasing the damage of these things even further by getting all that easy cryo out there, or also just spamming grenades like no one else because he can, which also increases these things. So Jack can easily break Torg shotguns as well. Hyperion ones, Jack just loves Hyperion stuff. They're already very accurate, but he can make them even more accurate. Hyperion shotguns can be ammo hogs, and he can mitigate the ammo. Yeah, so Jack can get a lot out of Hyperion shotguns as well. Although I like what he does to Jacob's ones better. He can pretty much do amazing things with any shotgun in the game. But that's kind of an example. The Company Man and the Bullpup are good examples of that because they kind of have some bigger mags. And you saw what I can do with that fire rate already. And then if you can use AA to really up that magazine size, you can just shoot those for days. You can keep them on crit because of the reverse recoil and do a ridiculous amount of damage with them. Next is assault rifles. So what I'm going to do here, I'm going to do a spoiler for his legendary comm. One of the cool things with the Shred-a-Fire is... Actually, I'm going to take that off first. So the Shred-a-Fire is one of those guns that, if you ADS, you can get it fairly accurate. But, it can get kind of wild. Now, it's also a very fast gun, which you can crank up, but it can become a bullet hose, so AA helps with that. But what makes this really cool is this class mod that gives all non-Hyperion guns reverse recoil. Now, it doesn't work with Jacobs or Doll because you have to keep pulling the trigger with like burst and all that stuff unless you're hip-firing dolls. But this, your recoil goes out, but then it comes back in. Meaning you can keep this thing on point. And with all your crazy magazine bonuses, this has already got a magazine at 83. With just compensation, maybe sponsored by AA, marginal benefits, you can make this thing just literally into a bullet hose where you don't have to worry about the ammo. So if you're a fan of the Shred-a-Fire, I don't think there's a character in Borderlands 2 or the pre-sequel that does as much with the Shred-a-Fire as Jack does. You can maybe make that case for Athena, but I'll take Jack because of that reverse recoil. So if you love the Shred-a-Fire, Jack's your character. The Kerboom, well, again, explosives. He can make them a lot better. Not much else to say about that. He can boost the grenade. The Hammer Buster, this is kind of like your Jacob shotguns a little bit. This thing's just got massive damage. Per pellet, you've got a 15% type B crit. Jacob's assault rifles typically don't have massive magazines. They don't need the accuracy help, but they are typically crit machines. Jack can shoot this forever. He can really boost the base damage, really boost the critical hit, and just do really good things with it. Whoa, I thought I dropped that. I guess I only brought 3 ARs. Basically, he likes all Jacob's ARs. All the other ARs he just makes good. These are the only 3 where I saw like special synergies, but he can make good use out of any of them. The next is the Hail. So why Jack makes the Hail really good is the Hail's got 80% splash damage, and it's the splash damage that gets grenade damage boosts. So Jack can really increase the damage of that. Now, one downfall of the Hail is, since it is a non-Jacobs assault rifle, it does have a Type C critical hit bonus, but it's also got a big Type A, so it gets less out of all Jack's critical hit boosts, but that's okay because the grenade boost he has makes up for that, and the critical hit boost still really boosts it. He just gets less out of that than with other guns. But yeah, he can get a lot out of this thing, and he can shoot it for days and days and days and just wreck the hell out of everything. So that's really good. And you can add a second splash element to it with Sponsored By, which is really cool. Lasers. There's so many lasers I could have brought. I have a lot of beams here kind of for a reason. Now, the Absolute Zero, as we covered with Wilhelm, this is an insanely powerful beam with the drawback of a tiny magazine, but as I just covered, Jack can break this by making the magazine insanely huge. The other thing Jack can do is the reverse recoil comm, his Celestial, really helps these things become super accurate. So yeah, the Absolute Zero, he can do crazy things. Similarly with the Rosie, you can see that Rosie is a really powerful laser even after the nerf, but he can get rid of that bad recoil. It still has a little bit, but it's not nearly as wild as with other characters. I'll take off this comm to kind of show you. So here's the Rosie normally. you can see a massive difference there. The Laserdiscer, again, Jack can boost the hell out of magazine sizes almost more than anyone else, making this thing ridiculously powerful. And yeah, enough said there. Spadroon, another laser. Again, it's wild as hell, but the Spadroon is insanely high base damage. Not quite as the Absolute Zero, but unlike the Absolute Zero, it's got a 237 meg. So Jack can literally shoot this thing forever. And the with a continuous damage bonus and the short range on this, as you can see, it kind of has almost like a long melee range. Like, that's the point when, like, right now it's not hitting. Here's when it's hitting. And then when you put this comm on, you get rid of a lot of that wildness. And Jack's one of the few characters that has the tanking skills that close enough and use this. And that's why I like Jack with the Spadroon so much, is the Spadroon is insanely powerful and Jack can get close enough to use it. Other lasers I should mention is he likes any splitters, because splitters have a spread and he can get rid of that spread, or not get rid of it, but really decrease it. So T-tier splitters, Hyperion splitters, any splitters he loves. Next is pistols. First one I have is the Maggie. Now, some of you might be saying, why not the Luck Cannon? Because the Luck Cannon's only got the one, and yeah, with AA and Jack stuff, but I've used the Luck Cannon with Jack, and honestly, I've just gotten better luck out of the Maggie, and the Maggie's just kind of like a shotgun. He can really increase the spread. Jacob's pistols have a 25% Type B critical hit bonus, which again, if you don't understand that, you can go watch my Dirge Nye video on critical hit damage bonuses, but so the Maggie gets a lot out of those critical hit bonuses and the accuracy, and kind of like everything with Jack, a lot like the Flare is the same reasons he gets crazy bonuses with the Maggie. But you can make the Luck Cannon good on him too. The Fragnum, a lot of people don't like this because it's kind of a weaker Herald, but the Fragnum does have a critical hit boost, and Jack can really increase the accuracy to try to hit those. He can add cryo to it with Sponsored By. He can boost the explosive with the grenade damage. He can actually get a lot out of this pistol. Whoa, someone fell off a ladder. Next we have the Gwen's Head. As we were talking about in the Wilhelm video, this is a very good, strong pistol. Although that spread is kind of weird where it puts it off to the left. This thing has insanely high DPS, and the problem is it's a bullet hose, but Jack can negate that bullet hose. It's got a Type B critical hit, and Jack's got all of those critical hit bonuses. He doesn't care, again, about the bullet hose of it. It's really easy to keep on target. Sometimes those ones that spread off just hit another enemy or bigger enemies, but Jack can get a lot out of this pistol. And then the last one is the Taser. The Taser is a low base damage, but insanely accurate, very high fire rate pistol, which is a bullet hose. So again, AA, he can make the magazines huge. He can crank that fire rate up to insane amounts. And also, at a 24% freeze chance, it's a very good freeze gun, and you can get it in a double prefix, which makes it even better for freezing. It's got a Type B critical hit because it is Hyperion. It's actually, I think, 7.5. It rounds up on the card and says 8. So yeah, Jack can get a lot out of the Taser as well. But like I said, Jack can make a lot out of just about any pistols. I guess I should have thrown on some Vladoff ones on there because, again, they're bullet hoses and he can negate that. Oh, I brought too many SMGs. So, start off with the cheat code or the Fatale. Very similar. These are both kind of like the Bitch. They are 75% critical hit damage guns with pretty fast fire rate. kind of small magazine for an SMG at 27, but he can really increase the critical hit damage, he can really increase the magazine, he can really increase the fire rate, and then he can ignore the ammo mitigation, making these really awesome guns. Now, the Hellfire I have on here because it has got splash damage, and the Hellfire gets grenade damage boost, so that 50% splash damage can get really huge on him. Some people get down on like high fire guns because in Atmosphere you don't get the dots, but you still get the fire on flesh bonus. And outside of the Claptrap DLC, this game is like 90% flesh, making any fire gun still really good even if you don't get dots. So yeah, Jack can really crank up the Hellfire. The Fast Talker here is probably, I think, the fastest fire rate gun in the game, which means you just blow through your ammo. But once again, Jack doesn't give a fuck because he's got AA, making him one of the better characters with this, because that 93 meg, he can get up to well over 100, and then with an 80% chance not to use ammo with AA, if you boost that, you can just bullet hose like there's no tomorrow with this thing. And you can get that reverse recoil with it with a Celestial Doppleganger, which I should take off when I'm practice firing these guns, just so you see the difference. This is usually not as accurate, although it's got very low recoil. He can really increase that. So once again, he can take weaknesses of the guns and just really fix them, including the Meat Grinder, which is a very inaccurate SMG and very slow, and it costs 2 ammo per shot. Well, he doesn't care about the 2 ammo per shot because of AA. He can really get that spread down, and then he can really speed it up. So he can take all the weaknesses of this SMG and basically turn it into a murder machine, better than probably any character in the game. I think I also brought the Frigga with me just because it's really good. No really synergies there. On snipers, the Skull Masher, much like any gun with a spread, he can tighten that spread to make sure you land more pellets. Jacob snipers do not have a type B critical hit, they're just 160% type A. And Jack can crank up the damage, and he can make sure you land more pellets with this. And when you do, it does a shitload of damage. And like all guns, bigger magazine, quicker reload, all that stuff really helps them. The Pitchfork, this has got some of the highest DPS of any sniper, but it's such a bullet hose because it is 2 ammo per shot, and you have a small ammo pool. And then with the burst, you can see 2 bursts go through all of your ammo. They're actually 5-round bursts. This shows 18, but it'll actually go through 20 because it'll pull a few. So 1 burst takes up 20 ammo, and Jack can negate a lot of that. Or sorry, 1 burst is 10 ammo. And when Jack negates that, and you can fire this thing a lot, it makes this thing stupidly powerful. The Invader, kind of in a similar way. This is, although it's Hyperion, so he likes that. But it is a burst fire Hyperion rifle that shoots insanely fast, big bursts. And it is a bullet hose, and the problem with the Invader is kind of like the Pitchfork. It's hard to use on a lot of characters because you'll just burn through your ammo because this thing does not have totally high damage. But Jack negates that with AA. The Machine, kind of the same thing. Any Vladov sniper can be a bullet hose. And this one increases its fire rate and damage as you hold down the trigger. And Jack can make you be able to hold down for the trigger a lot more. And when you can fire this thing for a long time, not much survives. So kind of all the same reasons there. And then last we have rocket launchers, which Jack doesn't have great synergy with, except for the Kaneda's laser. Because once again, when... That was fucking hilarious. I don't think I've ever heard that line before. I mean, I probably have. I just forgot about it. But the fact that this can crit, and Jack can really crank critical hit damage, and he can easily apply cryo between Nova shields and grenades, makes him really good with the laser. The other rocket launchers, I just kind of grabbed the powerful ones, and I just did the good, the bad, and the ugly. These are some of the ones I thought performed the best. The Mongol just puts out so many rockets. The Nukem, just a massive AoE, and the Bada Boom, just a ton of rockets for not much rocket ammo. So, yeah, that's guns. Let me just put one in my hand so I'm not running around without one in my hand, which is awkward. Next up, shields. So Jack's main, he's actually got a lot of shield skills. Winning, obviously, is his biggest one. Then you also have hero pose, which improves everything, and persistence for capacity. Now, Hyperion shields, he loves because of Company Man, and you want to get those bonuses. So the Bulwark is an obvious one. Absorbing the lasers helps you even more with laser ammo, and mitigation, you never have to worry about laser ammo. But the bonus damage is really nice, just more for all his critical hits. So he really likes that, of course, and it's Hyperion, like I said. The Rerouter, he gets more out of this than any character. Maybe Athena does more, but he can refill it so easily with Winning that he gets more amp shots, and then that extra health is just cool. He doesn't really need it, but he can get a lot out of this and help keep it full pretty easily, and he doesn't really care about that delay. And that's one thing with Winning. Jack really doesn't care about recharge delay very much, so he can get away with shields with high recharge delays. The next one I have is the Shield of Ages, also Hyperion. And this one is just a massive capacity. And again, he doesn't care about that delay. The max health doesn't really bother him. He doesn't care about the slow recharge rate because of Winning. And this thing can make him tank like crazy. So like with the Rerouter, Jack does so much damage he doesn't really need that damage. And the Shield of Ages just makes him an insane tank. It is just very hard to kill him with a shield like this on. Next, I have the Avalanche. So this is really cool, and with this, I'm also going to add in the just the regular Cryo Nova Shield, which is actually the one I use with my Nova build. But that's because when my Jacks are down, I don't want that 9.1 delay. Even though I said Jack doesn't care about delays, but with this one, you have a high Nova damage, you have Roid damage for your Jacks. You have also spike damage, and again, he can really override that delay with Winning, making this thing just do insane things. And like I covered earlier as well, with an Explosive Nova that gets bonus from Cryo, and a Shock Nova that helps strip the shields, which resist Cryo and Explosive. It's just kind of perfect. Next are the only other Nova I put on is the Black Hole, because holy shit, when you can get your Novas going off left and right with a Black Hole, and you're just pulling enemies all over the place. If you're playing co-op, your teammates might want to kill you because they can never shoot an enemy because they're just getting pulled all over the place. But you can throw enemies all over the map, and it is fucking hilarious. And effective. You add in Quasars to that, and Jack's ability to chuck grenades, and you're just playing ragdolls with the enemies. The last one I have, it's not as effective as all the Novas and stuff, but if you don't love all the Nova spam, it kind of gets to you. The Asteroid Belt, just because that's a lot of meteors with all your Jacks out there and you. It's just a lot of free DPS. So if you're not a fan of the Nova stuff, and this is a way to get some extra DPS out of your Jacks without doing the Nova spam. So it's kind of cool. But again, Jack with Winning and his other shield skills can make just about any shield good. Grenades, I should probably just leave a shield on, just to have a shield. Grenades, again, Jack can make any grenade good. So I have the Quasar because it's Hyperion. And once again, I'm just going to grab some rocks here. And, almost kill myself. But that just looks cool. So yeah, he loves the Quasar because it's Hyperion and it's good. He loves the Stormfronts because spamming Stormfronts is legit. And he can spam like nobody's business. And he also has the tanking ability to kind of throw those out and run through them and be in the middle of them while enemies are getting hit by him, which is kind of extra cool as well. The last one I brought, and again, he can make any grenade good, is a Cryo Nasty Surprise. Because the Nasty Surprise, I think you got a buff in this game. It's kind of hard to tell because of the different scaling. But the Cryo one especially, because you can just kind of throw it and forget about it, and it'll just find enemies and freeze them. So you can just chuck these out and freeze a lot of enemies, because as you see, it puts out a lot of those grenades, and it's got a high cryo chance, and it's just very effective. So, yeah, just a good kind of throw and forget cryo tool. That's also Hyperion, so you can get your Hyperion bonuses. And then lastly, before we get to comms, is Oz kits. So I didn't bring a whole lot of Oz kits here. Actually, I think I'm missing some. I'm definitely missing the Eddie. So I should have the Eddie. I don't know what happened there, but the Eddie, as I've gone over in all these videos, is insanely powerful because, well, A, it's the Eddie. You boost... I throw it out. I wonder I have so much gear sitting around here. The Eddie boosts your lasers. It also, the Eddie's, one of its things that can drop is money. And while the money that it drops doesn't scale well, so the value of the money he drops is bad at endgame, any amount of money is a stack of money is power. So the Eddie is great for stacking money as power faster. It's great for survival. He doesn't really need the survival of it, but if you're running laser builds, Jack loves more base damage. He has a lot of it, but the more you can get is better for all of his critical hit buffs. So yeah, he loves the Eddie. The support relay is not as good as a Tranquility unless you have 3 players, but the fact that you get accuracy and critical hit bonuses for it helps kind of even that out. So sometimes I'll run this instead of a Tranquility on Jack. Just because, again, he loves the base damage. Precision Strike. He's already got a lot of accuracy and critical hit, but sometimes you like more than that. And if you like to spend time jumping around in air shooting, these work really well with shotgun builds. And then lastly, I brought the Bombers because this allows him to spam grenades even more. And yeah, Jack is so good with spamming grenades, but it also makes the Torgue guns even that much better. But like I said, he's Jack, and he can make pretty much any Oz kit work pretty well, but he specifically loves the Hyperion ones in the Bomber in my experience. So next I'm going to take a short break here, and I'll be back with class mods. Alright, back and ready to do the class mods, and I guess I'll just hang out my sea of loot. Actually, no, I'm going to go away from my sea of loot. We'll create a new sea of loot. That way, if I want to go back and look at some, I might be able to find them. So, as always, starting off with the Celestial, the Doppelganger for him. This one, critical hit damage. Yes, thank you very much. He definitely appreciates that, because Jack is, to a point, a critical hit character. Elemental effect damage, kinda lame, but I'll be able to ignore that because the red text effect, as I showed you with the Shreddifier and the Rosie and some of those, is ridiculous. The fact that you can take these guns that have a pretty big recoil and just hold down the trigger and say fuck you to recoil is a pretty awesome thing. Especially with all his Hyperion bonuses, he can just kind of, make anything a Hyperion gun. So as you see it goes out, and then it goes back in. I'm re-showing you in case you skipped around. So yeah, you can make any gun really good at hip firing with this comm, and that's a big deal. Again, the guns like the Shredify and beam weapons, that kind of breaks them to a point in a good way. Now, skill-wise, this is really cool. So in Borderlands 2, they all went across the top. In this one, you kind of go... They changed it up a little bit, but usually they're doing some tier 2s. So best foot forward, as I covered, is a ridiculously good skill to boost, because at 5 seconds per kill, at 5 out of 5, this is absolutely insane. You can just keep your jacks out for so long. And when you keep that bar filled, sometimes you kind of kill all the enemies and you'll have like 90% of your action skills, so you end it and you just get it back right away. Just compensation, I already showed how crazy this is. 80% and 120% are huge bonuses. Then you go over here into Collaborate. So Collaborate boosted at 10 stacks, which is really easy to get to, especially the best foot forward, is 100% damage bonus to you and your Digijacks at tier 1. Are you fucking kidding me? That's insane. Teamwork boosted makes you nearly unkillable. Up to 5% of your max health per stack. Now, you rarely get them up to 10 stacks, as I said, but at 5 stacks, that's 25% of your health per second. That's fucking tanking. Like, in a serious way. Incentives, it's cool. This is probably the worst skill on here, but hey, it's free bonus fire rate is when you swap, so cool. I wouldn't like spin around all my guns just to stack it up, but it's cool. And then marginal benefits. This boosted is really freaking huge because, it gets up to 90% chance to reload your guns when you chuck a grenade, and that's a really high percent chance. So this is a really awesome class mod. There's the only way I would, I don't even know if I'd change it to high frequency instead of incentives, because you don't really need more than 75% there. So yeah, it's pretty fucking awesome, and the red text ability is so good. That's a ridiculously cool class mod. I also like how tiny these are compared to some of the other ones, bigger ones. It's just kind of his lapel pin, as you can see if I turn him around here. Oh, he's not wearing one. It just goes up there. Actually, I'll put one out. There, you see it. Other side. There we go. I don't know. There's something funny about it when it's that small. Although I want to do the Iridium Vanquisher next, because that's the order I was going. I never liked these. Will I like this one? So, shield recharge rate, okay. He doesn't really care about it too much with winning and some of the other stuff. Air control, max health like the other ones. Skill-wise, at least this changes it more than the other ones. So in this one, you're going high frequency and incentives, which is just high frequency. But instead of collaborate and teamwork, you go to the other side with integrity and synergy, which 4 points into these is different, but it's really strong. These are 2 very high DPS skills. Both boosted is pretty good. And you lose best foot forward, which is really good. You keep just compensation, but you go to take their freedom instead of teamwork. So this one is probably one of the best of these, because just compensation is really good. These 2 are really good. Take their freedom is really good boosted. But he's got better comps to use, like most. But at least this one's not as bad as the others. You still have the plus 4 and 5 skills rather than 6 without a red text, but it's still pretty good. Now, his Holodome legendary, the Chronicler of Elpis, like all the other ones, freeze chance, cryo damage, and shield capacity. The cryo damage is really cool for him on a cryo build because he doesn't have any other ways to do that, so that's a big boost to him. Shield capacity is kind of cool. Never too bad. So, like on all of them, these are pretty deep skills. This one boosts persistence, which, even if you put 1 point into it, is really good. Putting you at 5, but putting this at 9 makes you insanely tanky. So that's 18% of health per second, and a lot of shield capacity. Lean on Me at 9 points is 63% fire rate boost. That's a big deal if your health is full, which you should be able to keep your health pretty full. Winning boosted is awesome, of course, because that's 45% max shield capacity every time your jacks burst. So that's a lot of your shield capacity. This is the only comm that boosts optimism in the game, and at 9 points, this thing does a shitload of damage, but it's also really clever because this is a cryo comm, which means you're going to have cryo guns, maybe cryo grenades, you're going to freeze the shit out of everything, and then optimism's going to blow it all up and get that explosive on cryo boost. So that's very cool that this is boosted. And it boosts Company Man, which we already covered is an amazing skill. So yeah, winning is amazing boosted, and you're fast as hell with that. Company Man is amazing boosted. Optimism is amazing boosted. Lean on Me is amazing boosted, and Persistence. So my build with this is I use the Fatale, which has a low freeze chance, but the comm helps that. And you get your critical hit bonuses up to crazy. Then I also have a Ravager that I swap to finish things off, which gets like pinpoint accurate and gets a lot of critical hit boost from the cryo and the the cryo bonus and the crit bonuses, and I get it tight enough where I can actually crit things. And yeah, this is a really good class mod. So to start going through the rest, oh yeah, I put on 3 of these because I wanted to get the right one. And that's not it. That's not it. So this is the other Holodome comm, and this might be the best purple comm they've ever made in any of the games. And the reason why I should actually start here, Hyperion gun damage is cool. Because it boosts Company Man, so you're going to want to have a lot of Hyperion stuff on you. But the slam damage is a bit of a waste. The cool things with it, best foot forward. I already covered how cool this is boosted. It lets you stay in your action skill for so long. And then it goes and boosts 2 of his just insane skills. AA boosted is nuts. So this is at +5, giving you 80% AA. And then Company Man, which boosted, is also insane critical hit and accuracy. So this is my Jacob's shotgun comm. And yeah, it boosts Hyperion gun damage, but when I switch from my flare to a Hyperion gun, I'm getting the Jacob's bonus here, plus the damage bonus from the comm, plus all my critical hit and other bonuses, making those Hyperion guns really good as well. But with that, with AA and Company Man both boosted, just completely break Jacob's shotguns. And then Best Foot Forward just lets you stay in your action skill for so long, and the longer you stay in there means you're going to have Collaborate and Teamwork and all that healing and all those Novas. It's just a ridiculously good class mod. When this came out, I mean, it's not perfect because the gun damage is Hyperion only. It'd be a little better if it wasn't, and the slam damage is kind of weird and random. But the 3 skills are so good, and the Hyperion gun damage is good because you're going to be using Hyperion guns with Company Man. And I mean, if you're going all Hyperion, then it's definitely cool. So yeah, one of my favorite class mods they've ever made. Now let me actually go down and find the other one. Because this is the other AA comm, the CEOs of CEOs. This is my Jacob's comm before that came out. Now, this seems like it's actually a little bit better at first glance because accuracy and critical hit damage, you're just adding to that Company Man stuff. But the Company Man boost turned out to maybe pretty much wash that out. The synergy boosted is really powerful as well. And marginal benefits I would usually skip and get a blue one, but when I did the math on it, the other one's bonuses with Company Man boosted was about the same, and the best foot forward boost, just that put it over the top, making it slightly better than this one. So the only sad thing is, not that this one isn't any good anymore, and it's also team bonuses, which is really good. It's just to have AA and best foot forward boosted makes it a little bit better than this one, but this is still a crazy good comp. Alright, so next we go into the Paragon. Shield capacity is always nice. Shield recharge rate, if you're getting winning, you don't care that much about. But the rest of this synergy is really awesome. Once again, this boosted, especially 10 out of 10, 60 on both of those. That is a massive DPS increase. Marginal benefits boosted is always cool. And hero pose, I mean, boosted, that's pretty nice. But this one seems to lack a little bit of focus. I mean, it does a shield comp going to hero pose. That kind of makes sense in the fact that you go over to DPS. Honestly, if I was going to do this one, depending on my guns, I might go with a blue and get rid of marginal benefits and go 6 and 5 here. Or depending on my build, I might actually go 6 and 5 here if I don't need this. But because he's already pretty tanky with his shields, especially with winning the way it works. But not bad at all. Like, this is kind of a leveling up comm. If you find it, it's going to be pretty good. But at end game, you can find a better comm. There's a lot of those in this game. The Unbelievable Hero, gun damage and fire rate, awesome and awesome. No complaints there. And then the skills, Integrity, awesome DPS skill. Believe, awesome DPS skill. And incentives, I mean, that can be kind of cool. I already kind of said that on that. So, again, to me, this is a leveling up comm that's really good, but when you get to end game, for a DPS comm, you can usually do a little bit better, but it's really good. The Entrepreneur, reload speed and shield recharge rate for the passives. Reload's always cool. Shield recharge rate, again, because he has winning and this boost winning, it's a bit wasted. But this just boosts all 3 of his kill skills here, which thematically I think is really cool. The passives seem a little bit out of place on it, but man, this thing is a badass DPS comp because synergy boosted is crazy good. Winning boosted allows you to really abuse the rerouter especially, but just makes you really tanky, and that movement speed bonus is great. And Believe boosted, also insanely good. Yeah. I mean, this at 10 points, you're at 50, 40, 40, and 40. Those are pretty big boosts, but even if this is at 9 and this is at 10 at 60 and 60, 45, 36, and 36 are still really big DPS boosts. So, yeah, if you just want a pure DPS comm and you're not necessarily needing AA to be boosted, adding the reload speed bonus to this comm too, this is one of your best choices. It's just very, very powerful. The Economist, so more weapon swap speed and gun damage, so 2 good passive boosts. Skills wise, it doesn't boost this, which is good because that would be overkill. So incentives, marginal benefits, and supply and demand. I really don't like this comm too much. Supply and demand boosted is actually pretty good, but I don't know. I'm not a big fan of incentives. It's not something you want to focus on. It's just a little extra bonus here and there. I don't think it's that great because all the time you spend swapping to get that fire rate, you could probably just kill someone without those fire rate boosts just by shooting. So that's my problem with that. Marginal benefits is good, but with AA and some of those comms, it's not always needed. So yeah, I don't know. Not totally in love with that one. I've seen worse. So this, Hoyle uses this as his pet comm one, even though it doesn't really boost a lot of those pet comm skills. Just because it does silly things to you. So Collaborate boosted, I already covered how cool that is. 90 to 100% extra damage depending on that. Winning boosted is awesome, but this also boosts Delegation. I think it's the only com that does it. So Delegation boosted, it's 5 points at normal, so you can get it up to 25% at 5 out of 5, but at this you can get it 50% of the damage that comes to you gets redirected to your jacks, which makes you insanely tanky. And then it's got cooldown rate on top of it, which, you know, Jack keep his jacks out for a long time, but between recalling him and stuff with that, you can get him back really fast. And if you're killing a lot and you want to keep your jacks out to take your freedom, you still kind of can. And yeah, this is a really good class mod. And what's cool is it really hits a nice balance of you got 2 survival, 1 major DPS, and you know, the fact that you can kill your jacks faster if you're doing a popping build with this too. You can pop them insanely quick with Delegation. And then your movement speed and shield recharge for tanking even more, and that cooldown. It's a very awesome class mod. I think it's slightly underused by a lot of people, but really smartly designed. Then we go to the VIP class mod. So this one, max health and the regen per second, you know how I feel about those. The regen is always too slow and the max health is outside of the health stacking formula. And then this boosts Bolster, Take Their Freedom, and Persistence. So this is supposed to be the pet com. Now, Take Their Freedom boosted is awesome, and Bolster, if you do a build around it boosted, gets really big damage bonuses, and then Persistent boosted keeps you alive when your jacks are down. So this should be a pretty solid com. The passives are kind of wasted, but I mean, there's nothing wrong with it. It boosts 3 good things. So if you're going into a pet build, what it does for them kind of works. There's a problem with Bolster where, you know, it doesn't work as good as it should. Honestly, I like Collaborate a lot better for the jacks because they just gain that damage as they die. But thematically, it's really cool. It makes a lot of sense. And if you want to focus on like the badass jacks getting them really powerful, this is a pretty good comp for it. Role model. Again, team max health is a really dumb team boost. But skill-wise, it's pretty cool actually. So, Lean on Me boosted is really insane for that fire rate, as I've already covered. Resolute, I think this is the only one that boosts Resolute, which is pretty awesome because you're getting pretty good weapon damage and damage resistance. And then this, again, makes you so tanky when your jacks are down. Yeah, really good class mod. It's just not, a lot of times you're focusing a lot of DPS on, you know, like Absolute Advantage, Company Man, and a lot in this tree, so it's hard to get down and do these, but if you like these skills, and they're really cool skills, you can do a cool build focused on them. And I like that. You're probably more effective doing some other builds, but it's still cool to go in this direction. I just wish the team boost was something other than max health. Protagonist. So again, max health, I'm so sick of that. But I'm broken record on it, so I'm not going to bitch about it anymore. Team shield capacity is really awesome. And then, again, Bolster, Take Their Freedom, and Hero Pose instead of Persistence. I like the other one better. I'd rather have Persistent than Hero Pose, I think, personally. But, the team shield capacity, yeah, the passes are kind of a wash with the other one. So, this is just a little too close to the other pet com. Where did it go? See if I can find it. Yeah, so team max health. I guess this one is, well, yeah, the passive's better with the team shield capacity, but Yeah, like I said, persistence is better than hero pose. They're about a wash. They're just a little too close, in my opinion. I wish they would have changed them up a little bit more. Like maybe both of them have take their freedom, but change up bolster. And then last is everyone's best man com. This is one of my favorite class spots for him. So it's kind of nice to end it on that. This one is incredibly smartly designed. So the passive is grenade damage. Awesome. And then, of course, it boosts just compensation, which is really smart because this is your grenade comp. So if you get 5 points into here, at 10 points, that's 80% grenade damage, plus the grenade damage here, which is 128% grenade damage boost. That's a big fucking boost. Then, Lean on Me doesn't have anything to do with grenades, but Torg guns are typically really slow, so adding this in there is really awesome because, yes, speed them up, and also, again, they're typically slow with slow reloads and long, smaller magazines. So this, you crank up their magazine size 120%, so you over double their magazine size. You way increase the splash damage. You increase the fire rate on Torg guns, which they desperately need. And with this, you're going to be chucking grenades anyways because you have grenade damage boosts, and that's going to keep your magazines reloading. It's fucking perfect. Like, if I was going to design a grenade com, I might not have thought of Lean on Me. I would have definitely gone just compensation and marginal benefits. And that makes a lot of sense. But the fact that they thought of Lean on Me, that's perfect for it. I really like this. And you throw on a bomber com with that, another 59% grenade damage. So we're at, what, 128? And now we're up to 170, 187% grenade damage boosts. And then the fact that with Jack's cash, you can just throw them forever. I mean, that's fucking nuts. So, Jack doesn't have a lot of bad comms. There's a few I didn't care for. Some are outclassed by a few others, but there aren't a lot of bad options there. The two pet comms are a little too close. You know, he's got two AA comms, which are very cool. You know, one of them's in the Holodome that's a little bit harder to get. So those purple Holodome comms are kind of hard to farm. But if you're patient enough, you can definitely get them. He's probably got the best set of legendaries. I mean, his regular legendary is really good. His Iridium Vanquisher is about the only Iridium Vanquisher comm in the game I can stand. And his Chronicler of Elpis is really good. So, you know, he's got awesome AA comms I kind of prefer for his Jacob shotgun builds. I prefer the Doppelganger for your laser builds or your beam laser builds. An awesome cryo comm, awesome grenade comm, some really good tanking comms like the antagonist and stuff. Just a good handful of just solid DPS comms. Like I said, Jack, more so than any other character, can really find a way to take almost any gun in the game and drastically improve on its shortcomings. I mean, guns are typically balanced around shortcomings. You know, Torg guns are really powerful with high base damage and high splash, but they are really slow with usually longer reloads. Well, Jack with AA can break the magazine size. He has a ton of reload buffs to fix that. He has a ton of fire rate buffs to fix that. He can easily apply cryo to help with the bullet speed issues. And he can tighten the spreads on their shotguns. Like, just, he can take all the weak points and make them better. You know, Jacob's shotguns, the big weak point is the magazine size. And with AA and his magazine buffs, he can totally negate that. And guns with big recoil, he can fix with a class mod. You know, any gun with a spread, he's got ridiculously accuracy boosts. He's probably the tankiest character in the game. I mean, he can really tank the damage if you build him for it and put out the damage. And he doesn't really have to sacrifice DPS to tank, which is really nice too. Yeah, he can just, he's set up for anything. You know, like Accident in Borderlands 2, his best things were kind of Tediore chucking and grenades, and he was okay with everything. But that's kind of where he specialized, and like Zero was specialized in like critical hit stuff or melee. You know, one thing Jack isn't set up for is melee, which I love. But Jack's got like almost Zero's critical hit buffs, and better than Accident's grenade buffs. You know, that's crazy. He can do it all. He can do it in so many different ways. I mean, like I said, the Shreddifier, he's one of the characters that gets the most out of that. He can make beam guns so crazy good. Was that guy hawking a loogie? I heard a weird sound. That was pretty funny. Yeah, it's just, there's really nothing or any playstyles you can't do with Jack. You can build really good sniping builds, really good shotgun builds. I mean, I guess his only restriction is he isn't built for melee, but I love that because so many other characters, they just have like, oh, a little bit of melee here and there, and Jack just really doesn't. Also, I love his melee animation. Some people are complaining about it. I think it's funny because it's just like bad, and he's the doppelganger. Like, he's not a trained fighter. I don't know. I think it's fitting, but yeah, all this is why I think he's the best designed character in the franchise. Is you can play him so many ways. You can play him so effectively. You can play him with about any weapon types that really specialize him towards. It's not like he can only use any weapon type. He can specialize in just about any weapon type. And usually characters can specialize in like one thing. You know, Zero can specialize around critical hits. Accident can specialize around grenade damage stuff. You know, Maya didn't really specialize on anything except maybe chain reaction guns. Or I guess SMGs with her Capcom, which had little to do with any of her skills. You know, Krieg specialized in fire guns. Jack can specialize just about anything. And that's really fucking cool. So, anyways, thanks for watching as always. Hopefully this one was a little bit shorter, but I'm not really sure. I know I'm getting really hungry though. So, yep. As always, thanks for watching. You can find me on Twitter, on Facebook at my Dirchlands page, Twitter at Dirch1981. You can find my Patreon and support me there if you so choose. And there's some benefits to doing that. You can find me in my Discord or my Steam group. And that about covers everywhere you can find me around the internet, or just in the Gearbox forums, of course. So I will see you all later. Thanks for watching. Bye.